Hi everybody, I'm Gratton Stephens. This is Ray Santucci. We're part of Santucci and Stephens Real Estate Services. This is our very special guest, Nathan Matheny with Annie Mac Home Mortgages. We'd like today to talk to you about appraisals and how they can affect you when you're buying a house.
Nathan, thanks for coming back and giving us a little insight on appraisals. I got a few questions I'd like to ask you.
Okay. Thank you for having me back. Great to be here.
Well, number one, just in general, how does the appraisal affect the loan process?
Appraisal is a very important part of the loan process because if you're looking at a purchase, you have a purchase price, and the goal obviously is for that appraisal to come in at or above the purchase price. So if it comes in lower, then depending on how you set up your purchase contract, you and the seller have to get into a debate on who's going to pay the difference between the sales price and the appraised value, because that gap has to be met for lending guidelines.
Well, the appraiser generally it should be trying to appraise at the true market value of the home.
Yes.
Even though in today's right now currently, all summer of 2021 and the fall of 2021, we've been having a lot of bidding wars where people are offering upgrading the price of the house, and that may or may not be the true market value.
Yeah, that's happening a lot. It's a crazy environment we're in. You know, people are paying, I've seen as much as $50,000 over asking price. So when that happens, obviously the house is not going to appraise that high. In some cases, maybe it could, but it's probably unlikely. And then the borrower, like depending on how the contract is set up, would have to pay the difference up to a certain amount or the full amount. So what do you guys see as far as the contracts? Which
it's all over the board. Depends on the house, the location, condition. Where we're having sometimes issues is on houses that have just recently been renovated, so they've actually increased the value, but sometimes the appraiser doesn't quite come to that value for whatever reasons. Mm-hmm. Maybe because the neighborhood and the comps are hard to find. You want to explain to them what the comps are?
Comparables. Those are basically like houses in the area. Obviously, the best appraisal is done with 3 to 6 comparables that are similar in square footage, bedroom size, and it'd be best if they were within a mile. Sometimes it can't happen like that. Sometimes they're in the country and you may have to go further out, or if you have a unique house. And the sales really need to be 6 months or less. With the way the market is now, it's probably not hard to find them like same month even. And they are allowed to take into considerations houses that are being built are listed.
Yeah, and you said uniqueness. Ideally, if you're within a large subdivision, you're going to have those 5 or 6 homes right within the subdivision for the appraiser to pick from. But when you have a unique house, or you get out a little bit out in the rural areas, then he's got to go and reach from further distances to get like kind of type of home.
I'm not looking forward to the new trend of shipping container homes.
Well,
I don't know how the appraiser is going to appraise that.
Yeah, that hasn't really. That's more of a California thing right now.
No, it's happening here.
Yeah,
I have a customer who actually is trying to get one built right now. We can't do a construction loan on a shipping container, but there are some banks that are doing it.
Wow.
Well, now how do you go about picking who the appraiser is?
Well, we don't. Everything changed when the Dodd-Frank Act happened, like back probably 2012, I think it was.
Yeah, it was back a few years.
Yeah, 2010. And so what happens is, because of what happened in the industry before with loan officers pressuring appraisers to give high values, which artificially inflated the prices, they took the control away from the loan officer now. So there are what's called AMCs, which are appraisal management companies. And we put our order in through that appraisal management company, and they do a round robin. They have a list of appraisers on their board, and they just do a round robin, and they pick the next guy in line. And I'm not allowed to talk to the appraiser at all, so nobody's allowed to do any kind of influence over them.
Well, if an appraisal comes in low, can the client request a second opinion, a second appraiser? And then who would pay for that actually?
No, what usually happens if an appraisal comes in low and they feel that there's errors on the appraisals, like they didn't use the best comparables, the first thing I do is I go to you guys. I say, okay, you feel the value's low, tell me why. And so you'll say, well, I'm seeing comparables that are in the neighborhood that are selling for much higher. And so the first thing you do is that I go to the realtor, and you could do a dispute on the value.
Sure.
And you will give me the comparables, and I send them to the appraisal management company, and they will look into it and review that appraiser's findings to see if they feel he's, lowballed the house, or if it's should be a higher value.
Well, one thing when you mentioned you come back to the realtor for help picking out values, we're in a lot more homes in many cases than the actual appraiser has been in. So sometimes we will know a certain home that he should be looking at, and we're allowed to send him. Doesn't mean he has to accept that, right?
Correct.
But
it's up to him.
He could review it and take a look at it and see if he could adjust his numbers. Hopefully this is known before it's finalized, right?
Correct. If the appraiser is refusing to cooperate with the, what you've sent in, then the appraisal management company at that time would probably order another appraisal and may not even use that appraiser in the future, because if there are errors on the appraisal, he needs to address them.
Absolutely.
So usually I haven't had any problems, but there have been times where I've had an appraisal just fold his arms and say, I'm not looking at this appraisal again, it is what it is, and I've had to order a second one at that time. As far as who has to pay for it, if it's the appraiser's fault, our AMC will usually cover it.
What about homes that have like large finished basements? I know they don't like to value it the same as the upstairs finished basement. Some of these basements are as good as upstairs as
They have I know it's
and especially walkout basements, right?
Yeah, that is they have a calculation to figure out how much to give for basements. If it's a more upgraded basement, of course they'll give more for that. So there's things in place that they look at, but they still have to try to find comparables with houses that have similar basements. Hopefully they're able to do that. But if they may have to go further out sometimes to find that.
What about like on a good note, if the appraisal comes in higher than the purchase price, can the buyer use that to his advantage as far as the loan process?
Absolutely, yeah, that's a good point. If the customer needs help with closing costs, if things are tight, and I actually have a customer right now we're doing this with. It came in for probably about $5,000 higher than the purchase price, and they were like, great, can we now go in and do an addendum to the contract and do a higher sales price and get that extra money for our closing costs? And the answer is yes, and that's what we did. So some customer, you're ultimately financing the closing costs by doing that. So some customers may say, no, we're fine, we don't want to add to our loan amount, but it can help people in situations where the money's tight.
That's definitely good information.
Well, great information. Folks, there are a lot of things that can go on in a purchase of a home, and that's why you want to have professionals like Nathan representing you. We look forward to hearing from you. Post your comments below. Again, Nathan, thank you so much.
Thank you.
See you again. Thank you everyone for watching our video. For most people, their home is one of the most important investments they will ever make. So you want to get the most information you can, whether you are buying or selling. Please visit us at our website.
And remember, experience does matter.